Hello everyone, welcome to TechBrick YouTube channel. I am Malik Arjun. In my previous video, we have discussed like what are variables, how do we declare the variables, how do we initialize the variables, and also what are the possible ways to declare and initialize the variables. If any of you not yet watched, I would recommend you to watch it. In today's discussion, we will try to understand few rules in order to declare and initialize the variables. Let's get started. I found few of the rules for declaring and initializing the variables. So we'll start with the rule number one. You can't use shorthand notation outside of functions. It's because outside a function, our statement should start with a keyword. So let's understand with an example. So let me try here. This is outside a function, right? So we will try declaring using a shorthand notation and what exactly it gives. Take brick. So if you see here, it is showing an error that it says like constant function import type or where expected got name. So those are all the keywords. Only keywords are expected outside a function. So we cannot like use a shortened notation in order to declare the variable outside any of the function. So if I simply keep this here, it will work. And if I simply print it, it should be able to print go run main.go. So yeah, it is printing as expected. So this is what the first rule says. So now we will move on to second rule. You can't use them twice in the same scope. So it means like if we are declaring this, I cannot like use it in the same scope with the same name. So for example, just say like this is something like a declaration and initialization both at once. Now if I do like this, it is going to give me an error. Something like no new variable on the left side. This is what the error. So if you want to reassign within the same scope, then we have to simply remove this. It should be able to reassign. So I mean like declaring like twice within the scope is not possible. That's what the second point says. Then we will move on to third point. You can use them for multi-variable declaration and assignment. Okay. So this is we have already discussed in my previous video. For example, something like a comma b is equal to 1 comma 2. This is what it says. This is something like we can declare like 2. If I want to declare even like 3 variables, I can simply declare and initialize. This is what it says. And the error it is showing is because those variables are unused. Let's try to print this simply to eliminate the error. So now all are used and errors are also gone. So this we have already discussed in our previous video, and so like multi-declaration, like multi-variable declaration and initialization, everything we are doing it here using shorthand notation. So let's try to run this and see what it gives. So it is giving 1 to 3. And also we have discussed like using this, we can even swap the variables as well. So that also we have discussed. If you guys have not checked out, please do check out my previous video. So let's come back to fourth point. You can use them twice in multi-variable declaration if one of the variable is new. So if you check the second point and check the fourth point, it looks like a contradict, right? But there is a little catch here. So that is if one of the variable is a new. So let's try to understand this point. So like in that point, like we have already checked like if a is equal to something like a TechBrick, if you are taking, and if I simply try the same, it will throw an error. So it is going to throw an error here like no new variable on the left side. So this is we have already seen. Now we will try to understand it like if some function is returning, some function is there which is returning two values. Okay, so a comma b. We will try to write this function. This function, let's consider it as it is not doing anything. It simply uh, like returns integer. That's it. So let's simply take it like 1 comma 1 it returns. This is something like just it don't do anything, it just simply Let me copy paste. So if you see this function, it is not taking any parameters, it is returning integers, that is 1 comma 1. So these are the return types. Okay, so we understood like a comma b we are getting. So now we will try to understand b comma c is equal to some function, and c comma d is equal to some function. And then simply to remove the errors, we will simply try to print it. So if you understand here, a comma b, here both we are declaring and initializing. Here b is already declared here, so we are just simply reassigning, whereas c is a new variable which we are declaring and initializing. And similarly in the here c is already declared here in the above line. So c we are just reassigning the value, whereas d we are declaring and initializing. So that's what the 4 points is. You can use them twice in a multivariable declaration if one of the variable is new. So here if you see here, this is like a normal. Here c is new, B is old one, that is which we have already declared here. Similarly, here also D is new, whereas C is already declared here. So that is what the 4 point says. Perfect. Now we'll move on to the 5th point. You can use the short declaration to declare a variable in a newer scope, even if the variable is already declared with the same name before. So if you're changing the scope, we can use the same variable name. That's what it says. Let's try to understand that. Let me remove this. So here they say, for example, I will take like var name is equal to TechBrick, and here again I will try to use it like TechBrick 1, then fmt dot println of name. So this is what it says. So here I am declaring and initializing. This is like a global variable, and again this is something like a this name is again within this main function scope, and we are printing it. So here we are again declaring and initializing. This is allowed. That's what the 4 point says. Sorry, the 5th point says. You can use the shorthand declaration to declare a variable in a newer scope. This is a newer scope. So let me try to print it out. What it gives? It is giving TechBrick 1 because here it is overwriting or like reassigning the value, I would say. So if I simply remove this, it should be able to print the global variable, whatever the value we have assigned, that is TechBrick. And also, if you see the color of this local or local variable, this is something like a green. It says if I simply comment this 29th line, it should show here as like a normal variable. So it means this variable is already declared at the top. Here we are like reassigning to it. That's what it says. That is the reason the like you can observe the color difference. So even like ID like Golang, they will suggest to like suggest or like shows like where this variable is already declared. So these are like ID features which are like essential for our development. Now we'll move on to 6th point. You can declare the same name in shortened statement blocks like if, for, or switch. Okay, this is interesting. We'll try to see what it is. So we'll try to remove this counter. Counter is equal to 0 for, again counter is equal to 0, counter less than 10, counter plus plus. And let me try to simply print just to avoid the error. So this is allowed. That is what it says. You can declare the same name, that is the counter we are declaring twice when declaring and initializing, in shortened statement. So for example, here the shortened statements are like if, for, or like here I am using for. So similarly we can do the same thing in if as well as in other statements like for or switch. So yeah, this is what with respect to the rules as for declaring and initializing the variables. If you guys have any doubt, please do comment it out. I would love to answer all of your queries. So if you guys like this video, please do like, share and subscribe, and also hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thank you.